Welcome back, everybody, to Spunk Recommends. The series, one of my favorite series on the channel, where I read a manga that's maybe more niche, usually a one shot or at least a shorter manga series. And I come on here and I recommend it to you. That's why it's called Spunk Recommends. I love making these videos because I love reading, the more unorthodox, the more off the beaten path manga, and recommending it and talking about it. So today's recommendation is actually unfortunately breaking a few rules, because one, it is a pretty popular series, and two, it is like 20-ish volumes long. Okay, so the reason why I'm making it anyways is because, well, I liked it and it's cool, and it just recently got a physical release, which is kind of what, and it's my excuse, right, why it counts, because there's only one volume that exists. It's technically an omnibus, so it's 3 volumes, but whatever, you get it. So technically, it's short right now. Kind of get the physical while you can, basically. And the manga that I'm talking about is the Fable by, please don't cringe, Katsuisha Minami. That did good, right? That sounded okay. So the Fable is a very interesting manga. From its art style to its content, it kind of is a unique read, right? So this omnibus contains the first 2 volumes, and that's all I read of the series so far. So I'm kind of recommending just a beginning, almost prologue, of the series. And it is very, very interesting. So obviously it's a very popular series. If you've already heard of it, you don't need me to tell you why it's good. But if you haven't heard of it yet, then the Fable is about this man called the Fable, right? He is a notorious murderer in Tokyo. Everybody knows his name. If you know his name, you tuck your tail between your legs and run, because he's gonna get you, okay? And the Fable is this goofy looking dude right here, right? He is just a normal guy. He doesn't even look particularly skilled in much of anything. But when I tell you he is very skilled in combat, in assassinations, in moving in the shadows, all that stuff that you would assume a killer is good at, he is the best of the best in Japan. So good, in fact, that he racked up such a kill streak that his own boss was like, all right, man, you've killed way too many people this year alone. I need you to lay low, because the cops are hot in our tails and they're gonna catch us very soon. So here, take your assistant with you, get a new identity, get a new life. I'm gonna send you with my friend, which is part of another, like, a gang affiliated organization. But I'm just gonna tell him that you're my nephew. Okay, I'm gonna tell him you're my nephew. You're gonna go over there, be like, oh yeah, my uncle told me that you have a place to stay, and you're gonna live there for a year. Chill. So that's kind of the basis of this manga. A killer that has known nothing else in his life but killing, moving to a completely new life where his only mission literally is just don't kill anybody. Fable himself, he's not your typical cold-blooded, oh, I kill for the thrill, I do it because it makes something, awaken in me. It's nothing like serial killery like that. It's more like that's all he's ever known, that's all he's ever been good at. He doesn't really have a moral compass in that sense. I guess he can recognize what he's doing is bad, but he doesn't feel bad about it, I guess. But it's not something that makes him happy either. It's just kind of something that's like, okay, this is what I do. Your typical cold-blooded killer that's kind of like, I'll do it. And not much in life kind of makes this guy happy or emotional at all. Like, he's a goofy dude. But he's kind of more on the serious goofy, if that makes any sense. So going back to him having this new life, he, obviously it's not all sunshine and rainbows, because that gang leader that kind of set him up with that new place. So he has a lackey, okay? He has someone working under him that is kind of suspicious of him. So the first thing he does is sets up cameras all over the Fable's apartment, and then sets up cameras all over the woman assistant that he's with apartment. And the Fable immediately recognizes, oh, okay, they wired our apartment. He immediately takes off the wires of the girl's apartment, but leaves his on, and just walks around naked the whole time. So kind of like a warfare there. So he's like, I'm gonna be naked if you're gonna watch me, which I thought was pretty funny. But out of privacy of the woman, because that's literally a girl. Her name is Yoko. well, her new name is Yoko. You know, he doesn't want guys basically creeping on her because that's weird, right? But he doesn't want to take off the cameras in his apartment, I guess, because I don't know. I don't know why, but I don't know why. So, you know, the guy that is very sus of him, his name is Takeshi Ibihara. So Takeshi is like, I don't know about this guy. There's something off about him. He can't just be just some random nephew, right? So he hires some punks to beat him up. And it creates one of the funniest scenes in the entire manga where, you know, this is very early on, so I'm not spoiling anything, where the Fable and Yoko are in a bar or like a cafe, whatever, and he walks out, and these two guys are like, hey, we're gonna beat you up, we're gonna steal your purse, we're gonna do this. And the Fable basically tells Yoko like, hey, go home, I'll clean these guys up real quick. But it's funny because the Fable's like, oh, they can't know that I'm a skilled fighter. Actually, I forgot. They need to think that I'm just some random guy because, you know, my boss told me to lay low. So he beats up these dudes by thinking that it's so hard to explain. Basically, he hurts them where they're gonna punch him. So they're gonna punch his head, so he hits them he hits their fist with his forehead, and then he goes ow, 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 and he pretends to be hurt, but he's actually hurting them back. So he's like parrying their attack, and you know, it creates this pretty funny scene where like they're like, hey man, like that's weird, like let's just back out, like this guy's a weird ass dude. He's back out, and he has this exaggerated screams every time he gets hit, because obviously it doesn't actually hurt him, but he needs to pretend like it does. And you know, they kind of go off of that. So I already know that, you know, this 2 volumes established that the Fable kind of has, you know, someone that's sus of him. So I'm assuming it's gonna get a little bit more drama heavy in the later volumes. I don't think, you know, it's gonna leave the comedy aspect. Like, I don't think it's gonna have a switch up. You know, if you read the series, you know, maybe it has, maybe it has. But you know, so far, very lighthearted, very interesting read. And also, one thing that I completely forgot to mention is this manga's art style. This is a very almost photorealistic art style. It's kind of hard to explain. This is a manga with very little words and more just visuals. And you know, I'm looking at the manga right now, and it's kind of like, the best way I can describe it, and I don't know if this is actually what the author did, but it's almost like you take pictures of real people and you kind of like draw over them, or you kind of scan them into your manga. Even the backgrounds are very realistic. It's a very unique art style, and it kind of helps the tone of the series, because, you know, it's very deep rooted in realism, and it kind of adds to humor because the expressions are so human like but also so goofy at the same time. So it kind of adds that interesting you know, element there. So yeah, the volume 1 omnibus of the Fable was very interesting, and that is my recommendation of the day. I hope you read it, I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you later for the next recommendation. Bye.